In today's video, we're checking out the YoloBox live stream portable studio solution. Let's get into it. Welcome back, guys. This is Shane. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and also click that little bell. So in today's video, we're checking out a live streaming solution called the YoloBox from YoloLiv. Now, just full disclosure, they sent this out for the review. I didn't buy it. I'm going to give you my honest opinions on it and some of the pros and cons along the way. I am on a beta version of the software right now as well, so this isn't the final release of the next firmware upgrade. So if there's any bugs along the way, I'll share those with you in this video. So I'm going to cover who this is for and why you might want this over something like the A10 Mini, for example. This is aimed at a bit of a different crowd and it has some advantages and a couple of slight disadvantages to the A10 Mini Pro and the A10 Mini, but it also has a lot of superior capabilities as well. So we're going to go into what I like about it, who it's for, all the different types of connections and how you can use it, and I'll show you a live example of this in this video. Let's do it. One of the best things about this unit is its I/O, so I'll show you how I've got this set up for my particular situation. Currently I have two HDMI inputs being taken up by two Panasonic GH5s. One of the clear advantages of this particular unit as well, I've got my camera set to 4K and I'm recording internally, but this will downsample back to 1080p, so that's fantastic. I don't have to keep adjusting my cameras. In the USB slot, I'm running my Logitech C920, which I'll show you in this video. I plugged it in, no drivers required, and it worked. I was like, man, this thing is too cool. We also get a HDMI output as well, and I'll show you some of the ways you can use that coming up in just a moment. On the back of the unit, we get an Ethernet port, which makes it easy to connect directly to your modem or switch. Now, if you're going to be running this at home, for example, that would be the best way to run it just for reliability's sake. Also on the top of the unit, we get a 3.5mm audio input jack, which will allow you to capture any audio source from, say, a mixer if you want to play some background music while you're doing a live stream. On the lower portion of the unit, we have an audio output which can be used for headphones, or you can send that to another mixer if you need to separate the audio in that fashion. We get the SIM card slot, which it also comes with a tool that you can easily insert a SIM card. And we also get an SD card slot, which captures to a regular size SD card, which I love. They didn't go for the micro ones, they went for a regular size one. I'm just using one of these SanDisk Extreme right now, and it has to be formatted to FAT32. So if you are going to be running this, the easiest way to do that is just to format the card, and then you can record internally, or you can not record internally. It's up to you how you want to run it. You can capture video directly to the unit without actually streaming, which might open up some possibilities for live switching, where then you might want to take it and edit that video on your computer. So overall, the options with this, just straight out of the box, are far superior than a lot of other options out there. Lastly, on the device, we have a power button on the lower right-hand side, and if you hold that down, you'll be greeted with a screen that says power off or restart. If you just want to go into standby mode, you can tap the button and it will turn the screen off. Tap it again and it will come back to life. Pretty cool. In terms of the video resolutions, when it comes to the output, we get 540, 720 or 1080p. It doesn't do 4K, but most people probably won't want to stream at 4K anyway. And it will also be somewhat dependent, of course, on your bandwidth. So if you have a slower upload speed, you might want to drop it back to, say, 720p. If you can handle 5 megabits per second or more upload, then set it to 1080 and it works fine. I've already tested it. I had no problems with that at all on my connection. Now, in terms of the inputs, this is where it shines. You can essentially plug anything into the HDMI input source and it will work. As I mentioned before, my GH5 is currently recording in 4K. I can plug them in and it will handle that and downsample that back to 1080p without any issues. But I'm going to leave a list on screen of all the different resolutions and also frame rates and interlaced frame rates that it can support in case that's of interest to you. There's just too many to get through, and I want to actually show you how this works. In terms of the audio capabilities, we get 32 kilohertz, 44.1 kilohertz, 48 kilohertz, at 16-bit audio resolution. The YoloBox encoder uses H.264, which is pretty much the industry standard when it comes to streaming live. Now, in terms of the physical weight of this unit, it comes in without this particular clip at 480 grams. I don't know what that is in the Imperial system, but I'll leave that on screen so you can check it out. Now let's talk about how to get streaming live and just how many services you can connect. Now, after removing the YoloBox from its packaging, I had to set up a YoloLiv account. It then sent an activation code to my email to activate the device. The whole process took about 30 seconds. It was nice and simple. Now, if I tap on the person icon, you can already see which streaming services I've connected. There's 3 of the 4 that are currently on screen that work. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch work, with the possibility of Twitter coming soon. It'd be great to also see an Instagram one there at some point as well, if that is supported down the track. That would be really, really cool. We can then go through all of the different settings here. Language, if you want to change the language, it shows you the version of the OS that's currently installed. You can switch your time zone. You can check your recorded videos and SD card management as well. There's lots to do in these menus, but everyone wants just to see how this works. So let's get into it. So I'm going to set up a private live stream right now to YouTube so you can see exactly how this works. So the first thing you want to do is just tap the plus icon and then type in a stream title. I'm just going to call this test because I'm not very creative. So that'll do. And then we click create. One of the great things about the touch interface is it feels just as good to type on as an iPhone or any other good smartphone. So if you're wondering if the I/O in terms of the functionality of it's any good, it actually feels really great to type on. So then we're presented with this screen here. We tap on that and it will take us into everything that I've got connected to the YoloBox live right now. So what you're looking at right now is the UI or user interface to this particular system. Now, as you can see, I've got 2 HDMI sources, HDMI 1 and HDMI 2, as well as USB, which is currently this little guy down here. Now, you might notice that the 3 smaller boxes look a lot more choppy than the real-time preview at the top. They've obviously done that just to conserve a little bit of CPU power within the unit, but this is a really, really functional unit and we'll get into that right now. So the first thing that I would do personally is tap on 720p and change that to 1080. And as you can see, we can just simply change camera views, which is now this one, which is also recording via its internal SD card, but it's also just going directly to the computer, which is what you're seeing right now, via an Elgato capture card. Now, this is the USB device, which is my Logitech C920. So if you're a gamer, for example, you might get a kick out of being able to also hook up a webcam if that's something that interests you. But being that it supports 2 HDMI devices, this webcam option might not be for everybody. But I love the fact it's just as easy to get through each of these options as it is. Now, as you can see on the right here, we have the Geeky Nerdy Techy YouTube channel. So if I want to stream to that right now, I could tap on it and then select between private, unlisted, and public. So if you want to go live, you can simply, with an audience, you can set it to public, or you can set it to private just for testing it out and making sure that it works. So that option is there, which I really love. Once we hit that red circle, we're then live. Now, one of the cool things about this as well is the fact that we can add picture in picture. So if we click down at the bottom here, I keep saying click, but I meant, tap. So the main screen will always generally be the one that's in front, which is this camera. So I'm going to select that as my main one, click next or tap next, and then make maybe HDMI 2 as the picture in picture screen. And you can scale this as well, depending on the size you want it. So we'll make it about that big. That looks pretty good. And now we also get that as the 4th option here. So I can go picture in picture and have both cameras streaming to the web if I so choose, or I can just simply go back to camera number 1, and that's what you're seeing right now, which is great. So there's 2 ways you can monitor what's going on via an external monitor, either with the HDMI loop through on or off. I'm going to show you that right now. So on my reference monitor, I'm seeing exactly what's on the screen right now, but I can simply turn off all the icons and all that kind of stuff and get a real example of what you would see if you're watching the live stream. So if I click the settings tab, and then I go to the loop through down the bottom and turn that off, it's going to bring up everything that's actually on here right now. If I turn it on, it's going to send a clean signal out. So what you're looking at right now from what would be this camera is the actual recording to the computer. Now, as I mentioned before, you can record directly internally in this as well, which is another great option. Simply click or tap this record button up the top, and it will tell you how much storage is left. Now, I just put a 32 gig card in here because I don't use 32 gig cards anymore. I'm either using 128s or 64 at the minimum. So yeah, I thought I'd throw this one in here, and I get up to 9 hours and 54 minutes at 1080p. So that's fantastic. So great way to get some redundancy. If your live stream drops, at least you'll have a recording of it. I'm going to record for the rest of this particular video, and then I'll put on screen whatever it is that you're looking at. So Right now we're going to go down to, I'm actually going to turn that back on because I want you to see exactly what is going on screen. Now you can see there's a whole lot of different options down the bottom. I got to the full screen option just by clicking this icon on the right here. You don't have to have it in full screen mode, but I kind of prefer it. It just makes me feel like I can see exactly what's happening, especially if you're going to be holding something up to the screen, for example. You want to know that you're in focus, all that kind of stuff. I should also mention, just while I've got it on the screen, on the table like this, the screen's viewing angle is phenomenal. It looks every bit as good or better than my phone. So they've really put a high-end screen in this thing. I really dig it. So let's get into it. Now, if we start from, I'm going to start from the one that I think most people will be interested in. This is how to switch scenes. So if we tap on this third icon here, it brings up all the different scenes that we've already got set. I can go over to HDMI 2, which is over here. I can go back to HDMI 1, which is the main front camera. We can go to the crappy USB. This is going to look terrible after seeing the rest of the stuff that's on here. I might actually focus this down so you can see a little bit about what's going on like that. So, you know, it's a handy option if you want a flexible and movable camera, but I'll show you a trick that might actually improve that to no end in just a moment. And then I've got the picture-in-picture one as well, which is both of the HDMI sources, and then we can go back to HDMI 1. Now, you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing on screen. So if the overlay looked a little bit like it was in the way, your audience won't see that. So just remember that if you turn that function off on the loop through, that's how you get rid of those options. Another cool advantage to this particular system is you can set up lower thirds or scrolling text or a title or anything just by using this. You don't need anything external to get all of this to work. All you need to do to get this running is to tap on what looks like a stack of books, the far left icon here. Tap that. I already set up one which was subscribe for more videos and my channel name. Not the most creative, but it's, you know, nice and easy to get going. So I want to show you exactly how to get this to work. So click to add overlay. We've got image overlays, or we can add lower thirds. So I'm going to go for lower thirds for this one. And I'm going to show you this big one right here, which we can position wherever we like and adjust the text accordingly. Just by typing in over here on the title or on the subtitle will change the text. So let's change this one. Geeky, nerdy, techie. Done. All right, I'll leave it just as it is so you get the idea. Now, one of the cool things, they've added a rolling text feature as well, which is under the lower third icons as well. So if you tap that and then scroll all the way down, rolling captions is at the bottom. You can simply type in whatever you like. Help. Hello. My name is Mud. Now, if you get that reference, you let me know in the comments. Now, we can reposition this, we can scale it, we can do all that kind of stuff. So we simply just tap and hold and bring that down as a lower thirds. Now we can repeat this, or we can one-time scroll it. So I'll just leave it on repeat for right now, but if you have a live stream, don't do that. It's irritating, but I just want to show you how it works. So down the bottom of the screen, you can see that I've got the rolling text, and obviously once I turn off the HDMI clean feed or on, then you won't see all the other icons, but that's how easy it is to get titles to work. Tap it again, you turn it off, tap on that one, you get the title. Now let's say, for example, you play Counter-Strike Source and you're streaming it with a team or a clan or whatever they're called. Odds are you probably want to be able to put up a scoreboard from time to time, and you can absolutely do that with one of these overlays. So this makes it easy to reposition this wherever you like to get a scoreboard that works. Whether or not you'll use that or not is another thing, but they've included it, which I think is pretty cool. And I love the fact the lower thirds are as easy to make as they are. It just simply is a breeze to use. Although I've got a scoreboard over my face on my preview monitor right now, you can move these things around as well, which also makes it great, or you can just simply disable them when you're done with them. I think just the plug and play, and you know what it is? It's that usability thing. This feels really good to use, it's intuitive, and it doesn't require you to hook it up to a computer or anything like that to get it to work. So it's very much like a smartphone on steroids. I really dig it. Another massive benefit to the SD card slot over just recording and redundancy is the fact that it can be used for playback of video. That's right, you can add it as a source. If we click on Add Video Source and click SD card, you can then play back the videos that are stored within the card to your audience. Now, being that I'm recording right now to my SD card slot, I can't actually show you that, but The idea is pretty awesome. If you don't plan on using it for redundancy or recording, you can use it for playback. Opens up even more possibilities. If you take a look at the box, they've got the camera mounted directly onto the hot shoe mount of a camera. So I'm going to show you how that would work in this particular situation. Then I'm also going to show you how you can use a wireless HDMI transmission system to get the most out of it in a home studio situation. Let's do it. All right, so let's take a look at this rig right now. This is my Panasonic GH5. The Saramonic mixer is only being used as a dual cold shoe mount right now. So that's all that's doing to allow me to be able to transmit thanks to the Mars 400S transmitting system via HDMI out into this. Then that's getting sent into where I shoot my YouTube videos. And the audio you're listening to from me is via the Rode link, which is going directly into the camera. So there's a lot going on right now, but this opens up the possibilities to get some shots outside or be able to follow someone around. You know, if you have a stationary setup, this opens up a lot of opportunities. You can also run these in a very similar situation for shooting bands, for example. Say you're at an outdoor festival or whatever, you can have a couple of these going into the receiver thanks to these wireless units. So that's one way you can do it, and I'll show you how that looks. Now, I'm sure you're probably thinking this looks really heavy, but it actually isn't that bad considering that most of the weight is in this battery at the top. So overall, pretty cool. So there's a couple of advantages of this particular run and gun system. I can take my mirrorless camera out and stream directly to the web thanks to that 4G connection if I'm not at home, or I can take a camera outside and stream via Wi-Fi. Not only that, instead of using this little selfie screen down here and seeing what's going on, the flippy screen, I can see what's going on a much larger monitor. So that's a huge advantage as well. Now, you don't necessarily need all of this other stuff I've got hooked up right now, but if you simply put this on top of the hot shoe mount on your camera, go out via HDMI, that's what you'll get. You'll get the exact picture that you're seeing from your camera. Let's talk about some of the audio aspects now when it comes to the YoloBox. One of the great things about it is you have full control over each of the inputs, whether that's the two HDMI inputs, or if it's, say, the webcam going into the USB input or whatever you choose to use into that, or the analog input, you get a full mixer. Now, to access that, we tap on the sound icon on screen and it brings up everything. By default, it's set to automatic. Now, my particular situation, I've got one camera with a wireless microphone on it, so that's the only sound signal I want. Now, if I say change to camera 2 on the view here, over to this camera, the audio is going to stay on 1 as long as 1 is selected. If it's on automatic, you may experience some issues with that. You can, of course, blend two microphones together as well. There's nothing to stop you doing that. If you've got two wireless packs or two different microphones attached to two different cameras and you want both of them picked up, simply bring up the other one in the mixer here. Now, this works exactly the same way for all of the inputs that you might have. I don't have anything going into the analog input, and that's designed basically just if you wanted to play background music, for example, that's what you would use that for. Now, there is a sync issue between HDMI and real-time analog audio, so just keep that in mind. That's why I think that's better just for a bit of background music. If you've got a device you just want to plug a sound sample in or a song, then that would make it easy just to get a bit of background music at your leisure. But basically, everything that's on screen here is nice and intuitive and functional, and you can hear everything in real time or just back behind real time thanks to that HDMI lag. It's nothing to do with the unit. All HDMI units do that thanks to that little headphone jack on the front. So that's pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit now about the pros and cons of this unit and whether or not you should go out and buy it over, say, something like the A10 Mini Pro. Now, if you're going to be ever doing anything outside of your house or you need a mobile rig, the YoloBox is light years ahead of the A10 Mini in that regard. Plus, you also get a screen that just looks absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. I love just how good the screen looks on this unit. It's far superior to my phone. My phone's getting pretty old right now, but I love the fact it looks as good as it does. Now, the downside of this over, say, something like the A10 Mini is it only has 2 HDMI inputs as opposed to 4 with this, but it also has a few other options within it that make it far superior in my opinion. Being able to stream anywhere you like as long as you're on Wi-Fi is a huge advantage. Having that 4G connection if you want to go outside of Wi-Fi and stream makes it easy as well. You can also stream to any of the services that you've got connected at the same time. And if you want to stream via RTMPs, you can absolutely do that with this unit as it's now supported. One of the key upgrades coming up in the future is support for Twitter, but it will also support split screen mode, which is going to open up more opportunities. Again, I like the fact this company's standing behind their product and upgrading this all of the time. I think that's a really cool thing. Another key advantage of this unit is the fact that you can record internally with it without having to stream. So you can stream to the web and record at the same time, or you can just record directly in here. So that's pretty cool as well. If you just want to get a feel for how it works and all that kind of stuff, put an SD card in once it's formatted, and you can simply just record to the unit. So that will open up some possibilities as well. So while I'd love to say to you, this has worked flawlessly, everything's perfect, there's a few things about it that just aren't quite right as of this beta release 3.0. The first bug that I noticed, for example, is if I'm switching between picture in picture and then I go back to HDMI 1, occasionally you'll see a black cut line sort of come up between the transition. It's more of a hard cut than a transition, right? So it's not fading in and out, but you'll physically see a black bar come up just on the stream, not actually on the unit, but on the stream itself on YouTube. It was something that I noticed, and I emailed them and they said, yeah, that's one of the known bugs. They're working to fix that. So it doesn't destroy the stream or anything like that, but it's definitely there. And occasionally you'll see it flash black every now and then as well. But if I'm just using HDMI 1, 2, and USB like this, I haven't experienced that problem whatsoever. So that problem seems to be only on the streaming side. So it's something to do with the firmware, maybe on the encoder section of this particular unit. But overall, they're well aware of it and it'll be fixed before release. At least that's what they said. Another one of the really strange bugs is if I power the unit down, sometimes I can't get it to start without disconnecting a few things. Now, this will probably get fixed as well, and it's not a huge bug, but I managed to work out how to get this going. My only concern with it is if the unit is already out of battery, out of the internal battery, starting it might be a little bit of a time-consuming experience because you'll need to wait till there's enough charge to power the unit on. So as of right now, it's charging. As you can see, the unit is completely off. I hit the power button and I go to turn it on. Nothing is happening with the unit. So to get this to work, what I have to do is unplug the power cable and then try it again. And then it starts. It's a strange bug, but it requires me to unplug the power. Once I see the screen has started to load, I can then plug back in the power supply and it will then work as expected. So just a little bit of a glitch there. I'm gonna send them an email and let them know about that. They'll probably see it on this video anyway. Let's talk quickly now about the build quality of the YoloBox. Now, one of the cool things about this is the LED screen is phenomenal. It looks so much better than my very dated iPhone 6s Plus. The viewing angles are spectacular. Even if I tilt it most of the way away from my face, I can still see it. I can still see it fine, which is really amazing. So they've nailed that, and it doesn't seem to get a whole lot of glare either, which is something that I really like. The biggest concern I have for this is the fact that if you take it outside, you won't want to go out on a rainy day. It has holes all over it, whether it's the HDMI ports and so forth at the top, the USB, the audio jacks, the fans on the side, the SD card on the bottom, and all of that kind of thing. But the touchscreen is so responsive. Typing on this thing is an absolute breeze. The only small criticism I have of it, while I was inputting some of my data to sign up to each of my streaming services, I was unable to flip it into portrait mode and then type that way. I find it a little hard sometimes to type with my thumbs this way. I'd rather flip it, you know, over in the vertical mode, so to speak. So yeah, that was a small nitpicky thing, but just worth mentioning as well. As of right now, I can't flip it and have it orient that way when I'm inputting data. But overall, the build quality is great. Just my recommendation is don't get it wet. Included in the box, we get the YoloBox device itself. We get a power adapter. Mine actually came with a US power supply plug as opposed to an AU one, but I've got lots of iPhone chargers laying around. That worked fine. We also get a USB charging cable. We get two Type A HDMI cables. We get the hot shoe mount that I showed you before, a storage bag, as well as the user manual and SIM card ejection pin. Now, I haven't opened the pin because I don't have a spare SIM card to put into this device, but if that's a test you want to see, I'll absolutely go do that, and we can do a live stream outside one day on this channel and we'll test it out. I think that'd be kind of fun. But just over Wi-Fi, either 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, it works no problems at all. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. My name's Shane. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and also click that little bell. If you have any comments or questions about this device, feel free to reach out in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So a massive thank you to YoloLiv for sending this out. The YoloBox totally rocks, man. It is an absolute beast for what it does, and it will appeal to an audience that will want portability and practicality, or they might not need 4 HDMI inputs, and having that reference monitor is it gets the clear thumbs up from me. So overall, as a streaming device, this is cool, and it will continually upgrade over time. Now, as newer versions of the software becomes available and they update that firmware, I'll do follow-up reviews just to see if they've fixed a few of those bugs, so stay tuned for those videos. If you want to see a comparison and deep dive between this and the ATEM or any other sort of video like that, let us know down there as well. Thanks again. If you want to find out about this, links will be below. Catch you soon. See ya.